Brian Kerby, you ready to join me on stage, my friend?
I'm ready to rock, Mark.
Thank you for being here, brother. It's great to have you. Say hello to all your friends. I know you're going to have more people joining. Maybe you could tell a little bit about yourself to everybody that's here.
Well, 34 years ago, I was a dishwasher. I remember begging my brother's best friend, him and his father-in-law opened a little diner. And I remember I was desperate for a job, and so I begged for 2 months to get a dishwashing job at this restaurant. That's how I got in the industry. And at 19, I started to run my first restaurant. I was working my way through college, and I accepted the general manager position. Of course, that was the worst thing in the world. I wasn't ready, but the owner was that desperate. And let's just say that I learned a lot by doing the wrong thing for many years. But fortunately, through the business and learning over time, I had an owner that invested in me to go to hear some of the best minds speak. And in my small town, I started involving those principles, and we went from about 2% profitability to 17% profitability, and didn't even grow our customers.
Only on the stage.
And that may be a lifetime student of the restaurant science part. You know, I'd been a server, and I've done 14 different positions on the restaurant side. But as I learned to work equally as much on my business as in my business, that's whenever I started to really, open up the potential of my life. So I did that for 21 years. And then 13 years ago, U.S. Foods offered me a deal I could not refuse. They said, Brian, if you come to work for us, you can have 104 days off a year you don't have right now, called weekends, right? And at that point, I was ready for that and to give back to the industry. My job as a restaurant operation consultant is to give back to the industry. We have at least one of me in every market in America, and all we exist. We don't sell anything. We're a resource to our customers for any needs that you have. Because we work on a small slice in the business, we get pretty good at it. We don't know your business better than you, but our job is to come alongside you and partner up with you. So that's what I do for U.S. Foods. Over the value-added service booth, we have 7, 8 other restaurant consultants today. And so if you like some of the things you hear today and you want to take it further or talk about what we can do, then make sure and go over there and engage with them, and we can start doing some things now. So that's who I am. That gave a couple more minutes for a couple more people to come. Thank you all for coming in as the crowd is just arriving. You are at profit, multiplying the profit in your operation. In the next 20 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to embark on a great treasure hunt. And you got to develop a little bit of a pirate mentality, right? Because there's a great deal of buried treasure in your operation. Do you believe that? There's a great deal of buried treasure, and it's there for the taking. Matter of fact, without raising prices, without adding another customer, there's probably, if you have at least modest to moderate volume in your restaurant, there's probably enough right now to almost double the money that you're taking home. So we're going to talk today, we're going to try to plot out a treasure map about what you can do leaving here today, some things, and with U.S. Foods that can really make an impact at your bottom line. This year alone, I have personally helped over 50 of our operators put more than $50,000 to their bottom line and doing very simple stuff that we're going to talk about today. All right? You all with me? Everybody here? Anybody want more money in their operation? I think that's why you're here. And so I want you to be encouraged as we go down that journey. Well, let's look at the dollars coming in. A lot of dollars come in, don't they? And it looks so good when you see that cash drawer and the daily sales, but oh my, does it go out so fast, doesn't it? When we look at it, man, you're building costs take a big, huge chunk out, and then along comes your overhead, your monthly, expenses. And then, of course, food. Thank you very much from U.S. Foods. Thank you for that contribution. But man, does it hurt, right? When you see it go out so fast, and depending on the markets at the time, it hurts more at other times. 63% of the independent operators in America have said in 2017, my largest problem, my main problem, I need to find a way to reduce food costs, right? And so that's a big thing. And guess what number 2 is? It's labor. How do I keep and retain labor? How do I attract labor to my place? So along comes alcohol. If you serve alcohol in your place, it takes another chunk of that almighty dollar. And finally, labor comes along and snips almost the rest of it. And what are you left with? You deserve a lot more than that, don't you, this little sliver. On average, the average independent operator makes 4% before taxes in the United States. Now, the chains average 14, 15% or more return. So they serve better food than you? No. Do they give a better customer experience than you? No. What did they do better? They work better on their business, right? They make sure that they're working as hard on their business as in their business. And I know a lot of us say we don't have time. But there's a lot of easy things you can put into place today that can start putting that money where it really belongs, right? Where does it belong? It belongs in your pocket. US Foods wants to see more of that go where it belongs because your success is our success. What makes this industry so hard? You know, a lot of people look at this industry and there are a lot of people that have come into it from hard times, but you know, it's the American dream, isn't it? 80% of all restaurant owners started at the bottom. Of any industry in America, more women and minority ethnic groups are in management than any other industry, right? A poor boy that had no money, it paid my college education and has provided for me to stand up today and share the lifetime experiences with you. What a great industry, right? But you know what? When we look upon it, it's so hard because it's really three industries in one. You agree with that? You know, it's the retail industry. Just like Walmart, right? We have to sell products at a price the public will accept, your demographic, and we have to have enough profitability, right, to get from that to pay our bills, and we have to do so in a way that they'll continue to come back time after time. There are a lot of strategies to that. Well, we're also the hospitality business, aren't we? Much like a nightclub or a resort, people got to have a good time, right? Most of us have restaurants as more than a biological necessity. They come there because they want to meet and greet people or get together or divorce themselves from their life for just a little bit of time and be treated like the king and queen they always wanted to be, right? You give them that gift, and because of that, we have to have strategies, right, that enhance that and work to that customer experience. Finally, it's the one that most people fail out because they were strong in culinary, they were strong in retail, they were strong with people, but you know where they failed at? The manufacturing part. We're manufacturing facilities, aren't we? We take 2 or more ingredients and we make unique products that we sell. And those products have a very short shelf life. They have to have a high quality level, and so much depends on that. In the restaurant business, normally with ownership, you're good at 1 or 2 of those, but you're probably lagging in one of those industries. And more often than not, it's in the manufacturing realm. And so we're going to talk more about than others as we advance today. Well, let's jump in a little further. We're going to start with each of the major areas, sharing some of the common ratios and some of the things to think about. The building, it takes a chunk, right? There's not much we can do about that if you're already in it. But if you're thinking about a new operation, or a new location, there's some things to think about so you don't set yourself up to fail. Just last week, I talked to a poor guy doing a bistro. He was 22% to sales of his occupancy cost. Unfortunately, he had to do 5,000 customers a week in that 33-seat place in order to break even because of that. And there's no way that he could do that. He set himself up to fail by getting in a situation that was not sustainable. So when we look at building costs, we really want that to be 10% or below. Ideally, 8% below. And if you're at 5%, 4%, or you're 100% paid off, you should be seeing that show up on your profit line. So rather than that 4% average, if you're only at 4%, you should see another 4% on the profit line. So that's the great thing. And that includes your common area maintenance, your lease fee, your mortgage, any investment loan that you did for your build out, all that type of stuff. But it is what it is. But if you're thinking about going to another location, make sure you don't set your ratio up to where you're going to fail. Now, I know that if you increase sales, if you have to start out 15% and you think you're going to grow over time, eventually it's going to be there, but it's a good thing to avoid if you can. Let's go on to the next one, which really is your overhead. And these are the things that it takes, like your utilities, your laundry, your bug man, your window man, a lot of these things that you don't have no choice about, but that should run you about 15 to 18% of sales. If you're over 20%, something's out of whack. Did you know that most restaurants could save as much as 15% of their utility bills just by being more on turning things down, cleaning their condenser units, making sure filters are changed? Not only does it cut your repair bill down, but drastically reduces your energy bill. If you're paying $4,000 a month in utilities, 15% is a huge amount of money to put it back where it belongs in your pocket. US Foods has some resources to help you reduce some of your monthly overhead. Our customer-facing website at usfood.com/VAS has all sorts of strategies in there for you to talk about maintenance, to talk about different things you can do to cut back on utilities and these type of things that are downloadable or they're articles. Also, we have a lot of negotiated rates in there with different companies like some of the laundry service, uniform service company that you might already be doing business with and is there just to say that I'm a US Food customer and get that discount. So I advise you to talk to your territory manager to make sure you get hooked up with that site and see all that's offered there for you. Well, let's move on to the big one, right? You're here probably because of the food, are you not? I mean, we love food, and you can tell I love food a lot. You know, I'm a food expert because I love to eat it, I love to cook it, I love to share it with people. I love the stories it generates. But really, what you're looking about is you're concerned about your food costs. Is there anybody here that's not? I don't think so. I have not met an operator for several years that did not think they could do better in this line. Now, I want you to think about it. Why would a food distributor want to cut your food costs? Who does that have an immediate impact on? If you use less cases, who does that hurt? U.S. Foods, by having this seminar, we're willing for you to use less food. You know why? Because your success is most important, right? If you're more successful and make more money, you're going to stay open longer, and you're going to be around longer. Now, I want to tell you something, that in the average operation, again, 4 to 6% to sales, most people have in profitability. But in the food cost line alone, I find amazing, even in the most sophisticated operators I deal with, opportunity to uncover some buried treasure. So the average operator wastes 5 to 8% of all the food that they purchase. Some of that is unavoidable, but probably half of that is avoidable. So if you look at 8% and you're buying $200,000 a year, that's $16,000 of your money, right? Your money going somewhere other than where it belongs in your pocket. And so learning to recoup as much as that and what waste you should be having and making sure that you end that, because no one's benefiting, right, from the half that's going out that you could avoid. The other thing is that the average independent operator is 3 to 4% away from where their food cost is and the way it should be. So if you're doing $1 million of sales a year and you're 4% off, that's $40,000 of pure profit for you. Now, if you're making 5% profitability, doing better than the 4%, if you're making 5, how much sales does that take to make the same amount? That takes $800,000 of additional sales. Can you fit another $800,000 of additional sales in your building? A lot of people can't. But that $40,000 that's off another is right there already for the taking. So let's get in and talk about a little bit more in the food area, because these are some things that you really can leave with today on making a difference in your cost. So what should food costs be? We would love it to be 27%. I don't see many people that achieve that. 27 to 35% is the range I normally encounter. I encounter many people, 40, 45%. It's not so important about what it is. What's important is what should it be, right? If it's 40% but should be 32%, what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do with that? Well, there's a huge gap. So many people try to save their way success on their vendor. There's 7 factors that drive food costs, but 6 of those you control internally. So what can we do about it? There's really 5 bedrocks to food costs. Real-time menu and recipe cost, inventory, waste tracking, portion control, and being hyper-vigilant on your top 10 to 15 items. So you can't track all your items, can you? Each of you probably buy 200 to 300 items. We can't watch them all, but your top 10 to 20 items are probably 60% of your entire purchases. Wouldn't you agree? There's also likely the things that people might steal. They also probably require more special handling. They have more yield loss, and a lot of times have shorter shelf life. If you every day inspect several points, these items, count them, check them out when they're prepped, when they're received, and you start paying attention. I had a chain of 18 restaurants that did that for 2 months. They knocked off 3% off their food costs just by watching their 10 to 15 items. And that's something you can do without investing in any technology, that you can do just by making a big deal. Too many times we get in routine with our food, right? And we stop challenging because everybody knows their job. The problem is that only costs one person. It costs you the money. And so we always have to be working on our people, not to be a dictator, but to coach them and to bring them back where they need to be. So menu costing, U.S. Foods has Menu Profit Pro, and it's a free tool, the second most used food costing tool in America, other than Chef Tech. Your territory manager knows how to hook you up on that. We have him and other people that can help you put everything in there so that you can know the profit, the food cost of everything you're doing. How many times I find people selling things like steak sandwiches that are 90% food cost? The math of that never works out, and so we have to know, and what retailer in the United States sells things, they don't know the true cost. Only restaurateurs, right, on an ongoing basis. So why not do the work one time, and then once a week you can punch a button and know exactly where you are. Inventory, why is inventory important? Well, let me ask you, why do you count your cash drawer every day? And matter of fact, then you count it for the deposit, right? And then you take it to the bank and they count it too. But how often do you count your food? And is food cash? But if your people don't see you counting food, they don't think of it as cash, do they? And so by establishing inventory, that can help you a lot. Just a couple things, because we started later. I had to kind of cut this one short, so I apologize. Here's one thing that saves people a lot of money. What's the number one used portioning device in America? The hand. I've got baby hands. In the kitchen, the average male hand size is 60% by volume difference. 60%. Now think of how that impacts customer experience, right? Think of how that impacts your costs when we're given a handful of fries. A $200 investment for you to make sure you have the right portioning tools in your restaurant, and calibrating your scales daily or weekly could save you $10,000 to $20,000 easy starting right now, all right? Well, I've got to pretty much wrap it up, but I want to say about waste tracking. When you start tracking your waste and letting everybody see how all their efforts spool up and how much that is, they'll become aware that food is cash, and they'll understand how it could impact the profits and the customers. So that's very important to do about. Well, we were going to talk about labor and other things, but we had to truncate it. The one thing I want to think about, that if you want to talk more today, we have restaurant operation consultants over there with some technology to make this easier. The science is the same the last 30, 40 years, but technology is making it easier. There are tools that can automate a lot of this stuff, but you can do things today to make a difference in your pocketbook right away, because you deserve the money. So let US Foods partner with you, because again, your success is our success. We're there to support you any way we can. Thank you very much.